Hey, welcome back, students. This is video 2 in our CNC Woods 1 cribbage board project. In this video, we're going to model up a cribbage board that looks like the one on the screen here. Looks like a lot of holes, but we're going to use a couple tools inside of Fusion to make this go a little better for us, a little quicker for us. So in the last video, I had saved my file. I'm going to come over here and click on the little tic-tac-toe looking board. And then if I come in here, I can find my recent files. So again, yours might look like this. It might say all projects. If you click on recent data, it'll bring up all the recent files that you are working on. So in video 1, I saved mine as my board model. I'm going to go ahead and open that up now. And then I'm going to close down this panel just to give me a little more room on my screen. And again, your screen may look slightly different than mine, depending on how big or small your display is set. So as I'm clicking through in this video tutorial, if I pick a tool you don't have, you can always click on the drop down underneath that area I clicked on, and it'll bring you up a big list of possible tools. Right, so we're going to start off in Fusion by creating a 2D sketch of the rectangular shape for our cribbage board. Okay, now we need to find a flat surface to sketch on first. So I click the Create Sketch button. What I'm going to do is come over here to this View Cube in my upper corner. I'm going to click on Top. And then when it rotates it, I'm going to come click on this plane. And that's the plane that I want to draw my cribbage board on. So it imports into the CNC router nice and easy for me. Okay, now I'm going to come over to the Create area and I'm going to click on the Rectangle tool. And I'm going to come to the spot these two lines intersect. You can see it'll snap and place a box around that circle. That's called my origin. So I'm going to click once. Now I'm not holding my cursor down. I'm going to drag my cursor up to the upper right corner of my screen. And this is where I can tell it how big I want my cribbage board to be. Okay, I want my cribbage board to be 3.5. So I'm going to type in those numbers by 12 and an eighth. So I'm going to go 12.125. All right, I'm clicking the tab key to toggle through. I want to make sure my cursor stays in that upper right-hand corner or quadrant, and then I'm going to click Enter. Now I'm zoomed way in, so I'm going to pinch my fingers to zoom out and pan this over. You should do the same thing, and we want to confirm our rectangle is 3.5 tall and 12.125 long. Now, if these numbers aren't right, you don't need to start fresh. I can double click on a number. It'll open that dialog box up, and I could type a different number in. Right? So if I screwed up and I made mine 13 inches long, not the end of the world. I can just click here and type in 12.125. Right? Let's say you didn't have a dimension here at all. Maybe you drew your rectangle and it only had one dimension. You can come up to this dimension tool, click on it, click the line you want to dimension, drag your cursor off of the object, click again, and it'll open up this dialog box. Now, mine's already dimensioned to 12.125, but if that number didn't show up, you could override it. Right. Hopefully, that's enough information for you on how to edit some drawings after you've finished them. Now we're going to go ahead and finish our sketch. I always like to hit the house to get kind of a 3D view as I'm looking at it here. And we're going to extrude this rectangle now and turn it into a 3D object. Now, when I extrude it, I want to go down instead of up. So I'm going to enter a negative integer into this box here. I'm going to go minus 0.3 because that's about how thick our material is. And then before I click OK over here where it says operation, I want to add a new component. So this whole rectangle is going to be a component inside of my drawing. Right, so I've got it going down 0.3 of an inch. I've got new component. I'm going to click on OK, and we've got the beginning of our cribbage board here. So this is the overall shape and size of our cribbage board. Now we're going to add a couple of points that are going to turn into holes. And if we look at this cribbage board, this one's got 60 holes on each side, 120 holes total. We're actually only going to draw up 2 of those holes on here. And then we're going to do some copying and pasting. So we're going to go back to the Create Sketch button. We'll click on that. We're going to click on the top of our object. And again, you can kind of pinch to zoom in or out. You can use this little hand down here to drag things around if you're using your stylus instead of a mouse. Right? And then under the drop down, I'm going to take and I'm going to put 2 points in my drawing. I don't care where those points are. We can do them in kind of random spots like this. All right. So after we got the 2 points, I'm going to come up to constraints and I'm going to do a horizontal vertical constraint. I'm going to click my first point and then I'll click my second point and it should snap them so they're constrained, so they're vertically aligned. All right. Now on our cribbage board, we're going to have 2 inches on either side that are just holding down the material. They're just designed so we've got an area we can clamp our material. The router won't run into it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some dimensions to this sketch and tell it how far over those holes should be. And so I've clicked the sketch dimension button. I'm going to click this vertical line and then I'm going to click one of my holes. And I want these to be in 2 1/4 inches from the side. All right, so I'm going to hit enter. All right, now because these 2 holes are vertically constrained, when I slid this one hole over, the other one slid over with it. Okay, now we're going to add some dimensions to get these in the vertical location. So I'm going to click this hole, or this point rather, this edge of my project, and I want that to be in 1/2 inch from the side. So I'm going to click enter. And then I want these 2 points spaced out 1/2 inch. So I'm clicking the 2 points. I'll click to open my dialog box. And since I've already got 1/2 inch here, I can click on that and it'll actually copy that number over for me. All right, so there's our points. That's all we needed to do. You can pause and double check your numbers against the ones I've got on this screen. Then we're going to go ahead and finish this sketch. Right, and now under the 3D or the create area, I'm going to go to this hole tool. Again, if the hole tool doesn't show up, you may have to click the drop down, come down here and find the hole tool, or you could click the letter H and this menu will pop up over here. Hey, I've done some stuff with the hole tool, so yours may not look the same. I'm going to kind of move it again to a 3D view so we can see what's happening. All right, so I'm going to pick these 2 points here by clicking on them. And when I click the first one, it puts this dialog box right on top of it. So we'll get rid of that and pick our second point. Now that hole looks ridiculously large, and it is. So up here, I'm going to change the depth. I only want to go to 0.2 inches deep. Right, and I'm going to change the diameter. We're using an 1/8 inch or a 0.125 inch drill bit. All right, so we're going to say OK. And now on our screen, we can see we've got those 2 holes drilled into the project. Right? We can zoom in a little bit here. See those holes better. And so now we're going to use a tool called the pattern tool to take and copy these 2 holes to make the other 118 holes we need for this project. So we're going to click on the drop down under create. We're going to go to pattern and we want to do a rectangular pattern. Okay, I keep kind of jumping back between a 2D and a 3D view here. I think I like doing this one in a 3D view as well. All right, so here where it says object type, I'm going to change it from bodies to features. Okay, and I'm going to either select my hole, I can hover over them and you can see how it kind of highlights them. I could also come down here and just click on the hole icon on this little browser bar that we're creating. Okay, then it says axes, so I want to select the axes in the direction I want it to go. All right, and it brings up 2 options here. We're going to ignore axes number 2, so I'm going to change that right now to quantity 1. Right, but then I'm going to come up here because I want to pattern this in a group of 5. So I'm going to say quantity 5, and I'm going to change my distance to 0.875. All right, now what I'm going for here is an inch altogether, but this first hole already took up 0.125. So 0.875 is what I'm left with in that inch. And so I'm going to click on OK. You can see I've got a group of 5 holes. All right, there's my 5 holes. So now we're going to go to the create menu and we're going to grab this rectangular pattern tool again. All right, this time, if I switch back to my example here, we're going to take that group of 5 and we're going to pattern it down. So I've got 3 groups of 5. All right. I lost my pattern tool when I clicked out of this file. So I'm going to go back to rectangular pattern. Okay, so object type is set to features. So I'm going to come in here and I want to make sure I get all of my holes. So the original 2 holes, the additional 8 that I just made selected. Then I'm going to go to axes and click on this long edge of my project. I'm going to go back to axes 2. I'm just going to switch that to 1. Right? Axes 1, I want 3, and I want these spaced over 2.5 inches overall. I'm already taking up an inch, so I'm going to go to 1.5. And it's not liking that. Let's try 2.5. And if we switch back, now we can see we've got our groups of 3, our 3 groups of 3 here. So we're going to say OK, and it's going to make those. All right. So at this point, we're actually done with the rectangular pattern tool, and we're going to switch to making some mid-planes and using the mirror tool. So I'm going to go to the construct menu. I'm going to come down and select mid-plane, and then I'm going to click one of the short ends of my project. I'm going to use this view cube up here to click on the opposite corner, spin my project around. I'm going to click there, and you can see it made an orange plane in the middle of this project. So I'm going to say OK. I'll go back and click this house to get back to my home view, or I can click top to kind of see the top view. All right, now I'm going to go under the create to the mirror tool. And this is like using the rectangular pattern tool. Right now we've got objects and features selected. So I'm going to pick my objects. I'm going to pick these first 2 holes. So if we go back this way, okay, we're going to pick these first 2 holes. Might be easier to come down here now to my bar. I'm going to pick those first 2 holes in my 2 rectangular patterns. Right? And it's going to say, what mirror plane do you want to use? So I'm going to click on select for mirror plane and say to mirror it off of this plane. And if I go back to top, now you can see it's mirrored it over from the left to the right side of my project, which is what I wanted. So I'm going to click OK. All right, and then we're going to repeat that same thing, but this time we're going to go up and down. So I'm going to go to construct, mid plane. I'm going to click this long edge on the bottom. It won't let me use my X-ray vision to do that, so I'm going to spin this around. I'll click the long edge on the top. Right now I got a mid-plane running down the center the long way on this object, so I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go back to mirror, right, and then I'm going to pick my original 2 holes, the next 8 holes I drew, after that the next 20, and then if I go pick the mirror, that's the next 30, so I've got all 60 holes selected now. I'm going to go to mirror plane. I'm going to pick this plane that we just created, and that's going to mirror them down to the bottom side of my object. So we're going to click OK. And now we're starting to get all these planes on here. It's looking a little confusing. So I'm going to come over here where it says construction. I'm going to turn that eye off, and all of those planes are going to disappear for me, and I'm left with my 120 holes. All right, so at this point, Fusion should save automatically for you, so we can shut this tab down. All right, again, when you want to get to this tab tomorrow or in a future day in class, you're going to come over here, click on the data panel. If you're on the home screen, you're going to go to recent data, and your board model should show up here at the top of your recent data. All right, there it is. So we're going to do some more work with this in a future class period, but if you made it here today, this would be a good spot to have your instructor check before you move on to the next video that's posted in this series.